Hi, I'm Pat Carosa, and I'm in this grief group. And each week we have a different topics regarding grief. And this week's topic is about anger. And I lost my dad 7 years ago to cancer. And anger has been the biggest hurdle that I had to get through in my journey in grief. 8 years ago, he was diagnosed with cancer, and I thought he was going to beat it. He was this big, strong guy who enjoyed life, big Bills fan, loved the Beatles, and made everyone laugh. He just had a positive vibe and positive attitude toward life. He was a guy you just loved being around. He was a leader as well, and I just thought, he's to he's going to beat this because there's no way God would take away my dad at the most important part of my educational journey, as I was about to get my master's in childhood education and graduate in May of 2017. A month later, he didn't make it, and I was shocked. I was mad. I was mad at the world. I was mad at God. It took me another 2 years to get a teaching job because I was so mad that he was gone and that my guiding light was extinguished because my dad wasn't there. And and this anger I I lashed out against the people that I love and cared about, especially to family and friends as well. And I felt like I was hiding a mask inside me. I was angry for so long, and I had a mask inside me. When I went out in public, it seemed like I was happy and joyful, to other people, but really deep down, I was just angry that my dad wasn't there, and he was missing out on a lot of important events, like my sister getting married, and then she had two sons of her own, and for him to miss that was tough and sad and heartbreaking, and for her two sons to never experience my dad, their grandfather, it's just hard because I know I had such a memorable time with my grandfather, with Papa. He was just so important to my life, and for my nephews to never experience that is just heartbreaking to me, because my dad would have been a great grandfather. Um, and to, and then as for me, as I grew into an adult, I, I'm angry and frustrated that I never have that and will never have that adult relationship with my dad. I see some of my other cousins that have relationships with their dad as adults, going on trips and and having a good time with them and talking to them like adults. Two adults talking. I will never experience that with my dad. Trips that I have gone on, camping trips, and going on these Bills away game trips to Baltimore and Indianapolis. And even next year, I will go on an away game. And for him to not be there with me, because I know he would, is just so tough. It's so tough, and that can make me so angry to not have him here and to not see me succeed in my life, or help me in my struggles. It has been so hard for me to do that. I was angry at God for the longest time. But, and, you know, for the first year or two, I didn't go to church. I didn't start going to church until like 2020 and all the way up. And it was just hard. It was hard for me to accept that my dad was gone and I was angry about it. But I realized recently that I'm not as angry about it anymore. Sure, there's other things that I'm frustrated about that hasn't gone my way over the last 4 to 5 years. But my dad, I'm not angry about my dad not being here because deep down I know that my dad is with me. I was at the Baltimore versus Bills game a couple weeks ago, the divisional playoff game, and when the Bills kneel it down to go to Kansas City for the AFC Championship, I raised my glass into the air and looked at the sky and said, "We're almost there. We're almost there, and we will make it." Uh, Sadly, they lost the next week, but there's been other points where I'm just sitting and looking at the sky and being really confident that my dad is looking down at my life. Or when I go to the cemetery on his birthday and on Father's Day and place a card and sit down on a chair, close my eyes, and I can see him next to me. And also, the time where last summer, on a nice summer night, I sat down on a chair in the middle of the driveway. It was a starry night. And I closed my eyes and I talked to God, and I could feel my dad and my grandfather being there, especially as I was going through probably the roughest moments of my life last summer. So I'm not as mad about that anymore. I made peace with it. It doesn't mean I don't have angry moments, because I do, but I'm not as angry about it anymore, and I think that's a big relief for me.